Final competitors in this first round of competition. There's the one I love seeing come on the track. He looks like a monster with those red beady eyes coming off that Gravedigger machine. That is Dennis Anderson taking on the pride of the Carolinas, Carolina Crusher, and Gary Porter.
You talked about how you enjoy watching the Gravedigger run. Wherever we go, this truck seems to be a crowd favorite. You can see why. He really attacks the track. Engine located at the rear. He drives the truck completely different from everybody else. The truck seems to handle awfully well. Anderson looks to be advancing into this next round, Richard.
Well, he has, Army. Dennis Anderson and Gravedigger moves to the quarterfinals. There you see Bigfoot and USA 1. Number 1 and number 2 in the national point standings, and Army Armstrong's got a guy that's chasing both of them.
Paul Hallfager, the driver, just showing off. Paul, currently number 3 in those points. What's the night going to work out like for you? It looks awfully tough out there.
Yeah, the competition's real stiff. I can just about look and tell who's going to be first, second, or third position in this race. I just try to hang in there and be in the semifinals.
We've been talking to a lot of drivers tonight, and everybody seems coming up with a common denominator of USA 1 Chevrolet. Is that the same way you're feeling?
I knew that coming into this place. Lately, USA 1's been walking away from everybody. He's got a lot of motor and geared real fast. No Rod's really driving the truck well.
Well, one competitor congratulating another competitor on a job well done, and believe me, these Chevrolet boys with USA 1, they're making it tough on everybody. We're going back up to Richard now.
Well, all the talk may be about USA 1, but let's not forget, Paul Huffaker could win it all tonight in Nashville, Tennessee. Not the home of music this evening, but the home of monster trucks. We'll be right back with quarterfinal round. Right on hand for this Renegades TNT Monster Truck Challenge. I'll tell you what, the name of the game tonight has been speed, although that little guy and his mini monster, that's the nephew of Playing for Keeps. He may not have speed going for him right now, but Army Armstrong explains the other guys do.
Well, all year long on the Renegade Tour, we've been talking about chassis refinements, more horsepower, better designed vehicles. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight in Nashville, Tennessee, it's all coming to a head. These vehicles are going on a 300-foot course under 9 seconds, over 70 miles an hour. People in Music City are having a tremendous opportunity to see some of the best monster truck racing there is, and each week it seems to get bigger and better. Keep in mind, 70 miles an hour, ladies and gentlemen, 9-second run from a dead stop. They're leaving the starting lines like pro stockers in a drag race. They're running the length of a football field like a world-class sprinter. The only difference is they're going to cross that finish line at 70 miles an hour, about 20 feet in the air.
And now we're going to see how speed really is a factor as we start our quarterfinal round competition. Carolina Crusher, the second fastest loser, paid the price for losing because now he takes on the fastest qualifier, USA 1. And Army, it is no contest.
Let's out a USA 1 Chevrolet flexing a muscle. Quick qualifying time in the evening. All the drivers said this is the truck to beat, and he's looking awfully, awfully strong. Runs around the high banks here at Nashville Raceway. These people are really getting into that Chevrolet monster truck. He keeps going quicker and quicker, Richard.
Well, I'll tell you, all the talk this afternoon and the entire weekend has been USA 1 and Rod Litzow, that powerful motor and how he sets it up. Army, you spent some time with Rod Litzow earlier today.
How do you prepare for this particular track?
Well, just depend on the track styles and that. Like, this is running asphalt, so I'll be running different air pressure in the tires. And we change with the shocks and that, the way the ramps are set up. Just little things like that. The gear ratio I'm running for the length of the track.
Okay, now you say the way the ramps are set up. Can you explain exactly the terminology ramp in the monster truck sport?
Well, when we approach the first set of cars like that, the ramps that are built, some are steeper, so you're going to launch a lot higher, and some are set down. So we can, you look at that to know how, you know, the speed I'm going to hit them at, and the air pressure I'm going to run in tires for bounce.
Now, in one heat, you're actually going to be going over 2 ramps. The first one has 8 vehicles. The second one has, I believe, 10 vehicles. Will you approach one different than the other?
Oh, yeah. The first one, you know, that's when I'm just going through the gears. So I'll be trying to ride on top of those cars to keep my speed up. The second set, I'll be launched in the air, hopefully, to clear them. Okay, now one of the big questions that we've been talking to a lot of drivers this afternoon, they say that you're the truck to watch in this type of competition. How quick do you think you fellas are going to be running here as far as time on a 300-foot course? Compared to what we've been running, this will be about a 9-10 second track for the length of the track we're running, this amount of cars.
So you got to keep in mind what we're talking about here. The length of a football field, less than 9 or 10 seconds, 20,000-pound vehicle, that connotates out to around 70 mile an hour finish line speed.
That's a lot of speed for these big old monsters here in Nashville as we're ready to bring to the line Scott Stevens, King Crunch. He's, well, I call him the guy from Badlands, Texas. Actually, he's from Woodlands, Texas, and he's taken on your current national points leader, none other than Rich Hoosier out of St. Louis, Missouri. Rich is in, of course, Bigfoot.
Bigfoot currently your national point leader, as you said, but the man, Litzow, USA 1 Chevrolet, has won this round. Hoosier's under pressure. He needs to win it, too, and he just may not. Now, Stevens has some problem, and Bigfoot hangs on to that national point lead with a win.
Army, Scott Stevens got a tremendous hole shot on Bigfoot, but he started bouncing tremendously after he went over the first set of crunch cars, and that probably cost him the race.
Seems like the chassis is a little bit tight on the King Crunch vehicle out of Texas and need to loosen it up a little bit. Hoosier, meanwhile, he just powered on the other end. Who do we have coming up now? Looks like the Stomper Chevrolet, Richard, has drawn, looky here, Paul Huffaker with the Ford out of the Texas state.
Well, Stomper, of course, is the pride of Chevrolet, the heartbeat of America, and this is a classic matchup. Who's going to win it, Ford or Chevrolet? This is what the fans really enjoy on this Renegade's Monster Truck Challenge circuit.
Whole shot by the Ford. Now, remember, the Chevrolet has a tendency to come back on the other end. I don't know if he's going to do it. He's trying to shut the door on him. Huffaker's going to hang on for the win, Richard.
And Mike Witt comes on strong at the finish line, but not quite strong enough. That means Paul Huffaker did what he had to do in just showing off. He moved to the semifinals. As a matter of fact, your top 3 national point leaders, Bigfoot, USA 1, and just showing off, had to make the semifinals to keep the national point standings as they are. Kevin Dabney, the alien driver, has an unusual setup on his truck. Army spent some time with Kevin earlier today.
Even though the sport of monster truck racing is relatively new, there's a lot of names that have been around for quite a few years. Bob Chandler, that's the first name that'll come to mind. He's with the Bigfoot operation out of Hazelwood, Missouri. But Kevin Dabney, standing with me out of Tampa, Florida, you've been playing this game for quite a few years yourself, haven't you, Kevin?
Yes, I've been in it since monster trucks were used as, you know, as a side fill, and then finally into the racing, which we're doing now for the last 8 years.
Okay, so 8 years. This is your livelihood. I understand you're actually involved in building monster trucks. Who are some of the fellows that you've built equipment for in the past?
Well, I built Jersey Outlaw for a spring company up in New Jersey, and I also helped build Duraliner Giant, my brother, who's also does this for a living.
Okay, now your monster truck goes by the name the Alien behind us here. It's kind of unique. We're noticing a lot of things that are different on this truck. The rear engine, the size of the engine we notice is completely different from the theory of the rest of the sport. What's your thinking on that?
Right, the truck is quite different from all the rest of them here. In the motor department, I've depended on high RPM to get the horsepower out of it, and I've geared the truck accordingly. It tends to work well, and the parts are inexpensive because it's a small block Chevrolet compared to other exotic aluminum motors. But just about everything on the truck is a different theory on racing. These tires are a lot narrower and a lot taller than the other tires. They have a lot deeper tread pattern, which enable the tires to reach down and bite on the cars hard so I don't spin and slip. But it's also very hard on the drive line because they're so aggressively treaded. But I feel they work good.
You might want to keep an eye on a truck that goes by the name of the Alien. Uses the old faithful, screaming small block Chevrolet with the tall tire to stay competitive on this Renegade Tour.
Earlier this evening, Kevin Dabney went up against Bigfoot. He did not win that head-to-head competition, but he was fast enough to come back and go up against my favorite monster truck, and it's only because of the appearance of it. Dennis Anderson and Gravedigger, and they're off and running, Army.
Alien working on left side in perfection, goes across the jump first. Anderson trying to come back on him. Richard, a little bit of smoke coming out. It's side-by-side monster truck racing on a Renegade Tour. It looks like Gravedigger's going to hang on for the win.
And not a little bit of smoke, but a lot of smoke boiling out of the Gravedigger coffin-carrying monster. He wins this competition, but he may have some major problems to prevent him from coming back. We're going to have to check in the pit area to see about that. Meanwhile, once again, Alien and Kevin Dabney put on a whale of a battle out on the track. And we're going to be back in just a moment with our semi-final round of competition on ESPN. Smoke from Gravedigger was just a little oil on the headers. He's okay. He'll be back for the semifinals, as will Rod Litzow in USA 1 against Bigfoot. Army's got Rod trackside right now.
All evening long, all everybody could talk about was USA 1, how this truck should dominate the competition tonight. And in all honesty, Rod, you guys are dominating this.